I am joined by Anne Laure Jackson again. Hello, Anne.
Hello, it is great to see you.
It is now we've missed a couple of weeks for all sorts of reasons, but you're back, which is great.
I am back. It's lovely to be back. It's really good to be back.
One of my questions, because we did a thing on you going to America, you went to an airport, and you then fed back on the sensory experiences of being in an airport, walking through an airport, getting on a plane, all the kind of elements of getting on a plane, being on a plane. So you've been to America again. Have you been able to apply any of the things you learned from last time?
That's a really good question because there was an extra coming back the way. It took me, I calculated, we were 47 hours, which is basically 2 days of a journey
Wow.
because of flight delays, because of flight cancellations. And therefore, not only are you dealing with the time differences, but where do you sleep in the middle of all of this and what that does to your senses and your whole emotions, your whole regulation. But what I did do, yeah, my ear defenders, I brought my little AirPods this time because they were also noise cancelling, and I thought I prefer rather than the big over ear. For me, I thought especially if I'm going to be sleeping, which thankfully I was not quite snacking. Can you sleep snack? Well, that's
I
a
think
new
so.
a snooze, power nap. I don't know. I was kind of like power napping throughout the times, but I can actually power nap with those in rather than because you have the neck support. Because I have an issue with sleeping upright. I mean, I know that
Mhm.
we're not designed to sleep upright. That's not our default.
No.
So I do have one of those big cushion thingies to support me, and then also to help my brain recognize that it's okay. It is my head is supported. Okay, I might not be lying down flat. My vestibular semicircular canals may not be in the place that they ought to be for sleep, but with having that extra support, that does help. And my noise cancelling AirPods would fit nicely in there. So I was very thankful. I was very thankful for that little accommodation. But yeah, no, I was looking around the airport again, just experiencing all the smells, the sights, this, that, and the other. Love seeing some of the airports, the way that they are developing the for children. Okay, it's only for children still, but the physical play areas are great in some of them and absolutely awful in other areas. And you just think they've just got the screens or they've got this box for the children to be quiet in. And I thought, oh crumbs, we could really do with some sensory equipment in there to help to really help the children's regulation before they get on the plane because that was tough. There was like how many flights? 7 flights in the
Wow.
last week. And there were just various babies, various children, various adults, various other needs of people getting on and off the plane, special assistance and so on. So yeah, I was observing the whole thing, and as I do, because that's what I do, isn't it? I just look and observe everything.
Cool.
Um,
I figured you would apply something that you've learned. But yeah, 48 hours. And this is the thing about sleeping. We're not meant to sleep sitting up. It's one of the biggest problems I've ever had. Okay, I do a lot of driving. I don't sleep at the driving wheel. But in the past, when I've been a passenger, it's the neck thing that really gets to me because as soon as my neck starts to go, I'm awake. And my eyes start to go, my head starts to go, and that's it. I have to put my head back up again. And I can't cope without some form of neck thing.
mm,
Now, Nathan, we do quite a lot of traveling in the car. He's got a neck thing, which we bought specifically for him because he's the most able to sleep in a car, of which we're all
right.
quite jealous. But
Yeah,
he
good
always has
job.
the neck thing on because it means his head is supported slightly. Because I
Mm.
remember one car journey, every time I looked in the rearview mirror, there was a hand coming in when there was a corner. So I had to say, right, we've got a left hand bend. Someone's hand went up to his head so he didn't flick over. We got another different bend so the hand comes in from the other side. So it's like, it's fine. I can say what the bends are. Let's get him a cushion.
Mm. I would still look at as we are big designers between the two of them. I would like to help design those neck pillow thingies a little bit differently, so there is more support around the jaw.
Mm.
Just so because we've got the neck, so but it's still not quite. Depending, I mean, I experimented turning it around. I really hope people know what we're talking about who are listening. I experimented with turning it around so that I could get the right kind of support at the back at the neck, because it feels as though you ought to have a lot of support at the back at the neck.
Mm.
But if you're on a plane, it pushes your head forwards,
Yes.
and that's not right either. So it's like turning it round, and then it's just like, well, actually, I want a bit more support on my jaw here. so that when my head does tilt, because it's not close enough in to keep me upright. So there's a fair amount of neck support design that would be very helpful. If anybody's out there listening, then yes, come and talk, and we can get more ergonomically sensory designed neck support.
Well, maybe we would all be using it wrong. We're talking about the U-shaped pillow. You breathe into it, it blows up. You put it around your head, and it gives you a little bit of neck support. But maybe we are using it wrong. Maybe it's supposed to be for the front. And it's because I had the same experience. You put the neck thing on, you lean back, and your head's kicking forwards, and you're thinking, well, this isn't very comfortable. What's the point in that? So you let some air out, and now you've got no support. So you put more air in, and now your head's back down. And it's like, did nobody think of it? Can we not have portions of air in it? Because you want 3 little pockets of air, not one.
Yeah. All the what? Because I've got a foam one. So it's a full solid thing. But again, you can have. There must be a way of being able to redistribute either the air or the foam to be able to put it into the places that you particularly need it in. And then you also, depending on the type of chair or neck support or head support of the thing that you happen to be sitting in is going to be different. So we need that versatility and adaptability there as well.
Yeah, I don't sleep in cars as a result, or coaches, or anything else.
Right.
My eyes start to close, my head goes, and I wake up, and it's just the way I am. I don't know. Professional driver, 20 years. Maybe that's why you don't want to sleep in a moving vehicle. But yes, I think we could do better at some of these things. I know it's very cheap and it's very helpful, but there are limits, especially if it's a hard back and there isn't any sort of cut out for the cushion to slot in.
That's right. Yeah. And maybe it's looking at car design rather than the actual neck support design, but just something more ergonomically designed would be great.
I think it's fascinating, though, that at the airport, you've seen stuff for children, young people, but not for adults. And this always comes back for something that really grates with me. Why is it we think that children need what adults don't? Because it's like the attention span. Oh, children have got a much less attention span. No, they haven't. Adults haven't got a much greater attention span. We just have the ability to force ourselves to sit still as if it's okay. We still don't have much difference in that. And yet there's an expectation that we can sit for 45 minutes to listen to someone drone on. But a child, oh, well, they're children. No, there's almost no difference in attention span. We're just people.
That's right. We had our life group round on Sunday, and we were digging into the book of Philippians, which is a great book on, rejoicing and joy and all kinds of things, and humility. And we've got a little 4-year-old. She's sitting there just as nicely. We had little things for her to play with at the same time, but she's sitting at the feet of her big brother, actually. Big brother brought her along this time. The parents were otherwise engaged. And it was just lovely. He thought, actually, yeah, these are big topics. These are really good, serious, chunky topics that we're all talking about. And we're sitting on the floor. She's on the floor too. Some of us are on tables and stools and chairs, but we're all in together. And yeah, it was good.
Beautiful family moment, which is what the church can do extremely well at integrating people. I love doing all age services. It's one of the few things in life I would say I was really good at, is creating a service in a church context for people of faith of all ages, literally. And I actually am very good at that, because I don't think it's very complicated, difficult, or challenging to get 8-year-olds and 88-year-olds engaged. I don't think it's much of an issue. Many people say you're insane. No, actually, my experience of many years states it's very easy. However, it's all about the delivery and attention spans, and recognizing that if we're going to go on for 15 minutes, you've just lost everybody.
Absolutely. I was chatting to someone earlier today that they were asking me what would be my ideal. Okay, this would be a digression. We don't have to go there, but it was just my ideal. What would my ideal church look like? So I was able to. I went into the physical and everything about it, and that was most enjoyable to think. If we could start from scratch, and just took everything, go right back down to basics, and then build it up from the basics, both from a physical church structure as well as a spiritual church structure. What would that look like?
I saw a photo of one of the first, I suppose, commercial passenger jets. Let's put it that way around. So it's a black and white photo, but it was what was transport like. And I looked and thought, gosh, that must be the first class or the business class No, that was pretty much the only class because it was luxury seating, lots of leg room, comfortable armchair-like seating. Well, of course, now if you want that, you've got to pay through the nose for it because most people have to go economy. How many can we squeeze in as much as we can? The first time I flew to Spain, I was thinking, I don't fit in the seat. I was quite thin back then. I still didn't fit in the seat. Like,
Right.
who designed this for sitting? What's wrong with you? You know? And I think going back to basics, sometimes we probably need to do that a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking actually something else that I did do because on the way back, my with one of my flights, I had two flights cancelled on the way back. One of the flights was cancelled, so that downgraded me to economy, and I thought, oh great. So right, what can I do to try and help me be more comfortable in a tiny little seat? So one of the ideas that I did get for my proprioception was that I actually tied the blankets that we were given around there's a table that you can fall down, that falls down if you unhook it and it flops down. But if I tied a blanket around there so that I can actually put my foot in it, so that I had a higher footrest. It's something that makes me happy when I sit with my feet up. I remember when I was at school and I would do my homework, I'd actually put my feet on the table or one foot on the table. I'm quite supple. I'm not double jointed, but I'm very supple and I was great at gymnastics. But I would love to have one foot on the table and I would work and do it that way. So for me, I know having that extra support, having that like things a little bit higher for me are really comfortable. So I tied I tied the blanket so that I could then sit my feet. It added like a footrest. I put my feet inside the blanket that was tied as a kind of circle around the actual table, and slotted my feet into that, and that definitely helped pass a few hours in that position.
There are always things we can do, but you know, children and adults, we're not that different. By the time your child is 12, they're basically an adult. They're eating adult food. They're adult size and height. You know, we have similar attention spans and needs and requirements. And I think it's very lazy to think, oh, well, it's just a child or it's just an adult. The children need more, but you know, so do the parents. Here's the thing. You entertain the children. You let them do lots of exercise before they get on the plane. What are the parents doing? Sitting there, tapping their feet, getting a panic attack, getting on the plane, and all of a sudden they're stressed and anxious. What they probably needed was to go on the climbing frame with the kids. We've got them far better, but of course, we're adults. We're sensible. Let's be less sensible.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's be less sensible. There is going to come a time where we're going to go into these things and just really celebrate the same way that I am now. Just even seeing the children's equipment, it's just like, oh, it won't be long. You know, she says in hope and in faith that there will be things for physical things for the adults to be doing in airports and hotels.
Nothing wrong with
even.
hope. Hope is good. Well, we like hope.
We do, don't we?
You see, when electric cars got designed, they clearly were like internal combustion engine cars and basically the same shape, dump the engine, stick in a battery, off you go. But I'm still perplexed by some of the modern car designs for EVs, electric vehicles. Like, why have you made a car with a bonnet? You don't need to. It's absolutely pointless. You don't have to have that. You could do anything you like. And yet what they've done is created a car minus an engine because the engine's a bit different. And I just think that's lazy. I think it's lazy engineering.
Oh, now there's because especially on my island, as I call it, like we don't have like normal roads. I was showing some of my American friends what our roads look like over here and the size of our island, saying it's only 9 by 5 miles, and they kind of like look at you weird to think you've actually got a whole community in that kind of a size. Like, yeah, we've got operas and we've got ballets and we've got orchestras and roads, but they are little. So when you come out of one junction, you really do not want a long nose. You really do not want a bonnet. So there are certain places in particular where having a much shorter bonnet, we have to find, you know, different looks. I mean, I understand design, but surely design can be beautiful with a shorter bonnet, which would be really helpful to drive, because then you can actually come out of roads, you know, you're in the southeast of England or you're up in Scotland or you're somewhere where there's a tight turn, and actually it'd be really helpful to be able to see as a driver the road that you're actually going out into without getting your nose chopped off or someone else crashing into you.
Which is why the UK does not do well with American-style trucks. We call them T-cabs, so it's the long bonnet. There's a very good reason why in the UK you do not want one of those, because you've got about 8 foot of bonnet In the UK, seriously, how are you supposed to see anything? So yeah, they don't work well in these situations. They're very very nice trucks, but there's a reason why we have very flat nosed trucks
Mm,
because it's quite big
mm.
and the roads don't. But no, I really do think sometimes it's lazy engineering. If you look at Japan, which got decimated in the Second World War, which is tragic, and yet they built from literally the ground up because there was nothing there. You look at London, all they did in London during the Blitz, we'll put it back, put it back, put it back, and you've now got roads which are far too small, and London has a nightmare for congestion. The reason being because when it was bombed, it was replaced as it was. In Japan, because there was nothing, they had
Mm.
to actually start from scratch. And what do we think it's looked like in 1950? Well, very different from 1850. Yeah, lots of lazy engineering around, I think, sometimes,
Mm.
even down to the cushions. Well, that's fun. That's 15 minutes on engineering, which I love. Now, I like it. I like a little bit of a divergence of chat. It's good. Now we talk about sensory health as we have been doing, but we've been working on a series of sensory healthy somethings, whether it's a sensory healthy office or a sensory healthy park or sensory healthy sleeping or whatever it is. And I've really enjoyed being able to navigate it from the perspective of a thing rather than a question that leads to the thing. It's a bit of a different way of doing it. But I'm holding a pen in my hand, thinking about engineering. What would a sensory healthy pen look like?
Oh,
Because if you have, I forgot a pen, I haven't got a pencil around it. Yeah, hang on, I want a pencil. I want to hold. I haven't got one. Anyway, oh, it's fine. So, oh, I'm getting one. Thank you. So let's just go back to the pencil, the original pencil. All right. So
yeah.
this is a pencil that's got a pointy thing. You can write with it. It's quite slim and slender. When you're very, very small, you may have had a chunkier pen. For example, my fountain pen is quite a lot chunkier than a pencil. It doesn't work unless you're watching a video. But anyway, so pencil, writing. Now, we know that things have evolved. It used to be a feather. The fountain pen I've got is brilliant. It used to be a feather. You cut the end off, you could suck the ink in and you could write. But sensory healthy pens, let's just call it writing implements. Where
Mm.
would you start designing from scratch a sensory healthy writing implement for 2025?
Oh, yes. Oh, I love that. So we have the actual, let's go with the form of it itself. And I think there should be a variety. We know that as grips develop and as we go through the developmental stages, we end up typically with a tripod grasp. So that means it's your thumb, your index finger, and your middle finger that all come together. Oh, beautifully. Yes, there you are, modeled by Mr. Andy
Model.
B.
Yeah,
For
just about
those who
triangle. The pencil's in the middle of a triangle. If you're
yeah, so
looking at the
why don't we have a
screen,
triangular pencil, which actually we do have in places, but a triangular pencil would be ideal. And why we have a long one, I understand that you kind of like run it down a little bit, but the balance and the weighting, it doesn't have to be. It's much easier if you had a short one. So you just literally you can just if it comes over comes over there, it just stops people trying to do all kinds of funny other types of grip and grasp that can be quite tiring over time. Whereas if you have a much shorter pencil, then you're much more able to be flexible with how you actually write. So there's the form is it could be in the shape of a triangle. There are other shapes that you can get where you can hook them around your fingers. So I think the actual if it's too thick in the actual head bit, then you can't get the refinement that you need. But the actual shape of after the head, that is what we could consider how to do it. So it can hook around your thumb, it can go over here. There are some people, I know we're back on video, where you actually have it in the middle, the actual difficult to do it on radio, isn't it,
between your
actually?
first and second
Um,
fingers.
between your first and second fingers, there's different ways of placing the pen. And if you had bendy pens, you could have bendy pens that you wrap around your fingers in a certain way, so it takes less proprioceptive effort to keep it in place. So you have tiny ones, you have big ones, you have triangular ones, you have different shaped ones. Some people, if they've got joint issues, then you might want a big round ball to hold. Still getting a tripod grasp around the ball, but then it's generally easier. there's less pressure and stress on the joints around the finger if you've got a much bigger thing to hold, but you still need the head of a pen or a pencil to be small enough to be able to write clearly. So if you were to be able to ideally design it, you could have some. There's an idea for somebody for a business. Have your own pencil, design your own pencil shop, and you make it in different fabrics. You can make it in different textures. I think that would be phenomenal. And for people, you can get your hand designed and look at your hand ergonomically, so if it's your own hand. Same way as the shoes used to be tailored, you could get your own personalized writing implement. That would be nice.
I thought this might interest you. We use pens and pencils all the time, one way or another. I mean, I'm always using highlighters for different things. I got a nice fancy fountain pen, which obviously improves the longer you use it. The nib starts to shape to your hand, which is why you should never, ever let anybody borrow your fountain pen. There's a little top tip. But like roller balls, and this is just a biro. This is my favorite brand. I have a favorite brand of pen. Yes, I don't care if you think that's sad. I really do. It's got if I can hold it up to the camera, it's got a squishy bit at the end. That black bit on the camera, it's squishy. I have got different colors because I like these pens, but they're squishy and they've got a little ridge.
Nice.
Now, if I just go back to the basic simple old pencil, it's quite angular. It's quite easy to use. Actually, the angles make it easier in some ways. But I have seen people use the triangle. I've also seen them where it kind of goes up through the middle of the first and second fingers. And in a sense, when you're trying to write, it makes a lot of sense because the pen's actually a better angle, oddly. But we always write, you put your hand, the pen drops on top, there's your writing hold. But I just think, could we not do better? Like, this is my favorite brand of pen. I can take it apart and it breaks, but you could then actually have this permanently and just replace the bit in the middle. So it got me thinking about what even the fabric, like this is hard and it's wood. My wife couldn't cope with this if it didn't have a shiny bit on the outside. She can't touch normal wood. It's got to be glossy. She can't cope with it.
Right.
But that's hard, angular. It's a bit boring, does its job. And then you've got the pen that I like, which is my favorite type of biro.
And I love the fact that it's kind of squishy and you can have ones with bumps on it, or you can have ones with different other fabrics or soft fabrics. It's like, excuse me.
Excuse you.
How can we personalize our implements with a soft, with a velvet, with something that gives you a bit more feedback, something that's weighted, has a bit more weight to it to give you more proprioceptive feedback? The varieties are endless, and I think we should have a variety for people to experience and to try and for people to know that there are different things that help, because especially if you're in academics or if you're growing up, you're going to have to learn how to write before we move on to keyboard skills, rightly so. But what can we write with? It's like, yes, there is a chair you can sit on that is 90/90 and that it has 4 legs and a seat and a back. But actually, you could be on a rocking chair. You could be on a gym ball. You might be on a tea stool, which is like one stool and your legs create the other 3. There are so many different types of things to sit on that actually help people focus better, concentrate better, balance better. In the same way with implements and writing implements, it'd be great in our schools, in our educational systems, in our home schools, that there's a variety of different types of pens that, and I especially like your idea of thinking if like modular writing implements. Some, like the biro, moves really fast normally on paper. You can get different types of paper. That's the other issue. But biros will go really fast. Pencils, there's a bit more friction. Fountain pens, again, likely to be a little slower, just to be a little bit more controlled and more beautiful. So that there's different types, all of that side of it, what actually is on the end of your pencil or pen has an impact on what your writing looks like as well.
When I was at school, I was, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. One of the teachers said, you're having problems with your writing. And I think it was Beryl. It was a particular brand of pen, which I remember. I don't even know if it still exists, but it was quite chunky. We'll try with that. Maybe that'll be the help that you need so you can learn to write well. And then we're talking about me having to go to see a specialist and all that. Here's the reason why my writing was bad. I didn't want to. It's not complicated. I didn't want to write. But all this stuff, they wanted to help me and do all these things. I just think, but I just don't want to. It's, and I wonder sometimes whether we're forcing help on people that don't need that help actually we need to motivate them more than we need to help them. And for me personally, I just didn't want to write. Like, what's the point? I just want to play games. I want to play with my truck or whatever. And we're going to get you some help and we'll see a specialist. But I just don't want to write. So it wasn't my inability. It was just don't want to. But how often do we force help on someone who just doesn't need help, just needs some motivation? Or here's a radical thought which will destroy people's opinions. Maybe they're just not ready for writing yet.
That is so my biggest one. That was possibly one of the reasons why I went to be a private practitioner as an occupational therapist, because I was in Northern Ireland at the time, and 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds were coming to me for handwriting, and I'm thinking, just give them time, let them go climb trees, let them do the baking, let them get them in the garden, let them play with their Play-Doh and this, that, and the other. Let's strengthen their hands. Let's let their hands develop. Then I will come in, and I got to the point where I was feeling I am not going to see anybody until they're 7 to do their handwriting. It's like just let the rest of their body catch up, because there's so many, even visual perceptual skills are not ready, are not fully ready at that point. And then you get issues with children who don't want to write because they've been forced to write when it's too soon, and therefore they don't want to write when they get older. And it's just like, well, if they can enjoy, and let's enjoy the rest of life, enjoy their childhood there. When you actually need to write, that's when we can get serious about it, and then they will be much more motivated to learn how to write, because it doesn't take long to teach people to write when they actually want to.
No, I might have been a bit younger than that, but it was the point of, I just remember you need help and specialist help, and I just don't want to. You can give me all the specialists. I don't know how much money you want to spend on me. I just don't want to do it. When I was at secondary school, one of the teachers said that the issue I had with how bad my writing was is my brain worked too fast for my hands. So my hands couldn't keep up. So every so often I'd miss out 3 or 4 paragraphs. And they said, we finally worked out what's wrong with your stories because they make no sense. And I'd be writing so fast. My brain was so much faster than I could physically write. Yeah. And in the end, they said, mentally, your brain switches off and restarts again, or your hand kind of catches up, really. So you end up with this missing narrative because your brain's like, oh, well, next one. And it just jumps down. So that's why I had to learn to try and slow my brain down, because I do think incredibly quickly, which is a great strength to have sometimes. It's a weakness if you're trying to write neatly with a pen or a pencil. Now, I understand the economics of it's very cheap to make one pencil 1 billion times because you can make money. I understand that. But fountain pens, modular pens, being able to put a different cover, this is a squishy black bit of rubber because it's a black pen, but why can't we have different colors? Okay, well, we can have different colors. That makes sense. Why can't we have different things? I've got ridges, maybe spots, raised spots, and we could switch that out. I don't think it would be that complicated. It might be a tiny bit more expensive, but why not remake this? No, we don't have to remake the wheel. The wheel is round, it goes round, it's fine. But pencils, pens, maybe we could actually have a think about that for people to use, rather than here's what you got, get on with it. What's wrong with you? Well, it's horrible.
Yeah. Amen. Right behind you, brother.
Thank you. Right. So Pure Pens, that's the next project. Pure Pens and Pencils. I'm sure the team would love that challenge. Right. Thank you, Anne. I'm really enjoying these chats just because we're starting on a topic and then exploring it. And I'm really enjoying where we're going today, pens and pencils. We've done truck design and all sorts. Do you know, we should start our own design.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, actually. I really do think that if anybody is in the design sphere, they really need to listen back to some of these podcasts and give us some ideas, because we will spark each other off too. So
yes, and I don't think in a traditional way. Which is a good thing. We need more people like me in the world. We really do.
Absolutely.
Right. And thank you. If you want to connect with Anne at any point and get some of the help she can offer you from her centre in Jersey, she does lots of remote stuff as well globally. So you can get hold of her this way: pure247radio.org, pure247radio.org/ALJ. And you can contact Anne Laure Jackson for more.
Wonderful.
Thank you.